So now we're starting chapter 4, lesson 3, dividing mixed numbers. So for number 1 through 3, they want us to find the reciprocal. So number 1's really easy. It's a review problem. It is not a mixed number. It is just a fraction. So the fraction is 9/14 and reciprocals are review. So I'm just going to go through that pretty quick. It's when you switch the numerator and the denominator. So our numerator is 9. We're going to move that down to the denominator spot. And our 14 is the denominator, so that's going to move to our numerator spot. So the reciprocal of 9/14 is 14/9. So now we're going to move on to a harder problem, number 2. We have 3 1/2. So to get to the reciprocal, we have to change our mixed number to an improper fraction. So to do that, we take our whole number, which is 3, and we're going to multiply that by the denominator, which is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. We're still not done yet. We take that answer and we add the numerator, which is 1. 6 plus 1 equals 7. So that is our new numerator. 7 is now on the top of our fraction, and our denominator stays the same. So it's 7/2. This is our improper fraction, not our reciprocal. Now to get the reciprocal, it's very simple. We do the same thing we've been doing. We just flip the fraction. It's now 2/7. Now that problem is now done. Let's move on to number 3. 10 2/3. We're going to go ahead and we're going to change our mixed number to an improper fraction. So we're going to take our whole number times our denominator. 10 times 3 is 30. Plus our numerator, which is 2, and that equals 32. That is our new numerator. Our denominator stays the same. It's 3. This is our improper fraction. Now we can find our reciprocal, and to do that, we just flip our fraction. It's 3/32. So now it gets a little bit harder. We're going to move on through to 4 through 9 now. The instructions are complete the division, write each answer in simplest form. That's usually always going to be your directions, is to simplify. So we have 2 mixed numbers now. So we have to change them to improper fractions, and then we're going to do our keep, flip, change, as we have been doing because we're still dividing fractions. So for number 4, we have 3 3/5 divided by 2 1/4. They changed 3 3/5 to an improper fraction for us. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 plus 3 is 18, and the denominator is 5. That's how they got 18/5. Now, to get 2 1/4 into an improper fraction, we do our whole number 2 multiplied by our denominator 4, which is 8, plus our numerator, which would be 9. So our improper fraction is 9/4. Now we're going to do our keep, change, flip. So 18/5, we keep that 18/5. They changed the sign for us, and now we flip. It's 4/9. And then we solve. 18 times 4 is 72. 5 times 9 is 45. Now because the number on top, the numerator, is greater than the number on the bottom, the denominator, we have to not only simplify, but change this back into a mixed number. So in order to do that, we have to figure out how many wholes we can pull out of 72. If the denominator is 45, then one whole would be 45/45. So then, when you pull out 45, you get one whole. Then, when you take out your whole 1, you have to figure out what's left. So you can subtract 45 from 72, and that will give you 27 on top. And you keep your denominator the same. However, if you are somebody who knows your math facts, you know that this problem is still not simplified. The greatest common factor between 27 and 45 is 9. So we are going to divide that. We're going to pull out our whole number, keep that so we don't forget it in our final answer. And then we're going to do our division. 27 divided by 9 is 3. 45 divided by 9 is 5. So our final answer is 1 3/5. So we're going to go on to number 5 now. We have 1 1/2 divided by 1 1/4. They changed 1 1/2 to 3/2 for us. And now it's our job to change 1 1/4 into an improper fraction. So we do 1 times 4, which equals 4, plus 1, which is 5. Now we do our keep, change, flip. So we keep our 3/2. They changed the sign from division to multiplication for us, and now we're just going to flip that second fraction. Now we solve. 3 times 4 is 12. 2 times 5 is 10. This is an improper fraction because 12 is larger than 10. So we have to figure out if 10 over 10 is 1 whole, we can pull out 1 whole because we have more than 10. So what's left to get to 10? 2. To get to 12. We already had 10 pulled out. We have 2 more to get to 12. We keep our denominator the same. This is not reduced or simplified, so we have to do it again. So we pull out our whole, and we have 2 tenths. The greatest common factor between 2 and 10 would be 2. So you divide 2 and 10 both by 2, and you get 1 1/5. That is our final answer. Now we're going to go on to number 6. We have 5/12 divided by 1 7/8. 5/12 is not a mixed number, so you keep it as 5/12. 1 7/8 needs to be changed to an improper fraction. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to take your whole number 1 times 8. 1 times 8 equals 8, and you add your numerator 7. 8 plus 7 is 15. Now we have to do our keep, change, flip. So we keep our 5/12. They changed the sign for us, and it's now multiplication. And then we flip to 8/15, and then we solve. 5 times 8 is 40, and 12 times 15 is 180. Now, to solve this and simplify it, it is not an improper fraction because 40 is less than 180. We do still need to divide by the greatest common factor between 40 and 180. And if you factor this out, your greatest common factor is 20. So you'll divide the top and the bottom by 20, and you will get 2/9. That is our final answer. So now we're going to move on to number 7, 8, and 9, and this is where we have to do all those steps by ourselves. The worksheet is no longer giving us the steps to work through. We have to do it on our own. So we have 3 1/8. We need to change that mixed number to an improper fraction. 3 times 8 equals 24. 24 plus 1 is 25. I'm going to keep my denominator the same as always. 25/8 is my new fraction. Now, I went ahead and did in my head, I changed my sign already because I know that 1/2 doesn't need to be changed. I can just flip that and I can start my multiplication problem. So I'm going to go ahead and put my reciprocal down. It's 2/1. So now I can just simply solve. 25 times 2 equals 50. 8 times 1 is 8. So now I need to reduce this down. And since 50 is so much larger than 8, we know that there's going to be more than one whole number. The easiest way to figure this out is to either divide 50 divided by 8 or skip count by 8 or find your multiples of 8 to see what whole number is closest to 50. And we know that 6 times 8 is 48. So there are 6 holes in there, and there's a couple left over. If we already have 48 pulled out, how many more do we need to get to 50? Just 2 more. And we keep our denominator the same. But 2/8 is not reduced. We still have to reduce that by dividing by our greatest common factor. So we're going to pull out our whole number so that it's still in our answer. And 2 and 8's greatest common factor is 2. So you're going to divide 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 6 1/4 is my final answer to that problem. Number 8 and 9 still are pretty hard, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started on number 8. We have 1 1/6 divided by 2 2/3. So what we're going to do is change our mixed number into improper fractions. We have 2 of them in this problem, so it's going to be a multi-step situation. So I'm going to take my 1 1/6 first. 1, my whole number 1 times my denominator 6 equals 6. 6 plus 1 equals 7. That's my new numerator for that problem. And then I keep my denominator the same. Now, This is where Ms. Wernicke stepped ahead, so pay attention. I changed my division to multiplication here. So that means I have to complete this problem by inserting the reciprocal of my improper fraction to this mixed number. So if I have 2 and 2/3, my denominator is 3. So that's going to be my new numerator. But we need to figure out our new denominator. So this is how we do it. We do 2 times 3, which is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 would be the numerator in my improper fraction, but since I'm writing down my reciprocal, it's now my denominator. 3 is my numerator because it was my original denominator. And again, this is the reciprocal. I skipped a step because I was able to do that in my head. So now I'm able to solve. 7 times 3 equals 21. 6 times 8 is 48. This problem cannot be reduced anymore. This problem is finished. Now, number 9, we have a whole number and a mixed number. We already know when you have a whole number to turn it into a fraction, we just simply put it over 1. So that's what we're going to start with. We have 2 divided by 1 and 1/5, so we're going to put our 2 over 1. And then we're going to change our division to multiplication. Now we need to figure out our improper fraction and flip it to put our reciprocal down. 1 times 5 equals 5. 5 plus 1 is 6. So 6 is my numerator and 5 is my denominator. So if I want to flip that, 5 is now my numerator and 6 is my denominator. So now I can solve. 2 times 5 equals 10. 1 times 6 equals 6. 10 is greater than 6, so this is a mixed number. How many times can I pull 6 out of 10? Only one time. 10 minus 6 is 4, so I have 4 remaining, and my denominator is going to stay the same. 1 and 4/6 is not simplified. So I'm going to pull out my whole number, and now I need to simplify my fraction. 4 and 6, their greatest common factor is 2, so I need to divide the top and the bottom by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now we are finished with this worksheet. This is all of the skills in Chapter 4 so far put together. So if you know how to do greatest common factor, least common multiple, reciprocals, adding fractions, multiplying fractions, dividing fractions, and subtracting fractions, you will be successful at this as long as you do each step.